common challenges that I see organizations facing as they get prepared to be assessed is they don't do the same thing the assessor is going to do. The assessor is going to come in and they're literally going to open up the assessment guide and they're going to go control by control. And within each control, there are a number of assessment objectives. So we have currently we have 110 security control practices. Within each practice, we have one or more assessment objectives. So within access control, AC, L1, 3.1.1, there's A, B, C, D, E, F assessment objectives. You have to make sure that you're addressing all of those assessment objectives first. And then once all those assessment objectives are addressed, the security control practice that those assessment objectives fall under will be considered to be met. So what the companies fail to do is do the same thing, apply the same scrutiny that the assessor will apply. So when I'm advising a company on how to properly get prepared, there are 3 assessment methods against a series of objects. The 3 assessments methods are: we examine documents, we interview people. And when I say we interview people, I'm not talking about interviewing the janitor. I'm talking about interviewing the person that's responsible for the security control practice. And then we test the systems. So we cover all of the 3 control areas. Administrative controls. Is HR doing their job? Are they following the policy, the onboarding policy, the offboarding policy, the change in role policy? The operational policies. Are vulnerability scans being done on a regular basis? Have they defined how often they're going to do vulnerability scans? And are they doing it as they've defined it? And then we test the systems that are handling, storing, transmitting, or processing the controlled unclassified information. So when I advise a company, I make sure we do all 3 assessment methodologies. So for a given control practice, assessment objective, I want to ensure that we have documentation that the assessor can examine. I want to do a mock interview with the person who's responsible for that security control, the network administrator, the vulnerability assessment administrator, the HR administrator. And then I want to test the system that is responsible for storing the CUI, for example, or the network that's responsible for transmitting the CUI, or the system upon which the CUI is processed. So I do all 3 because when the assessor shows up, I have no idea, are they going to want to examine a document? Are they going to want to interview a person? Are they going to want to test the system? So the most common problem I see is that companies submit themselves to an assessment when they themselves have not demonstrated that they are actually ready to be assessed, because they did not go through a gap analysis fully and completely. They did not address any of the gaps that they find, and they did not examine their own documents. They did not interview their people. They did not test their systems. So when the assessor shows up and starts asking questions and reviewing documents and testing systems, the company's ill prepared. So your surest way to set yourself up for success is do what the assessor is going to do. And not just one of the 3, but all 3. So that's the most common challenge I see most companies facing. They show up to the dance and they don't know the steps.